The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Have I told you how much I love you? Oh, should we start off Friday that way? Friday the 16th of 2019. Of course, we're coming to you as live as possible, and we are streaming at the same time on safetyfm.com and on safetyfm.live. But I wanted to really tell you today how much I appreciate you listening to the show. It's been quite fantastic over the last 2 weeks. You have taken a new show that no one really knew about, even what the freak the concept was going to be, and you're making it something that's your daily habit. You know what I want to say? I want to say thank you. I love you, and I appreciate that. But let's get the warm and fuzzy stuff right out of the way. And let's get started directly with the news.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show. Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM. Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
So climate change. A 4.83-inch diameter hailstone was recorded in Colorado on Tuesday, making it the largest on record. AccuWeather reports that it weighed in at 8.5 ounces. It beats the 4.5-incher that was also recorded in Colorado not too long ago. Isn't that crazy? How the freak is that happening? Could you imagine all of a sudden your car gets hit all of a sudden out of the blue with a hailstone that big? You'd probably think that somebody threw a rock at you. I would definitely be thinking that. So we're always talking about some different stuff, some different concepts, some different things. If you had a canceled flight over the last few months on American Airlines, I got bad news. CNBC is saying that it's the union's fault. The carrier won a court case that ordered mechanics to not participate in any service disruption ordered by its union. American alleged that union workers were encouraged to be slow, that it cancels flights. American says that they lost over 900 flights over the last 2 months due to slowdowns and is now suing for compensation for lost revenue. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, which represents the mechanics, denies any such interferences. Meanwhile, negotiations between the two parties continue. I'm sure those have to be some lovely negotiations. Oh yeah, you just caused me to cancel 900 flights, allegedly, and now I'm going to sue you because of lost revenue. And I'm pretty sure it's a pretty high lost revenue number. Probably more than most of us will ever see in our lifetime. I don't mean that to be derogatory. I'm just saying. Just a comment. You're listening for commentary, aren't you? A Euro Airlines pilot successfully landed his jet in a field after he hit a flock of birds mid-air early Thursday morning. It didn't say a flock of seagulls, just in case. The captain brought down the plane with no power in either engine and without a landing gear be able to retract. All 226 passengers and 7 crew on board survived. Only a 69-year-old required treatment beyond minor injuries. Well, crap. I'm glad that wasn't coming out of American Airlines, because then it would have been a whole other thing of, hey, did you guys screw this up on purpose for that particular regards? Hey, I'm not saying that the actual machinists out there in American Airlines are doing anything on purpose. I'm just reading the news stories and how the commentary is coming across. So I don't even know sometimes when you start reading some stuff online before you're actually going to be able to do this as news stories. I have to read you this one because I think it's quite interesting on how this even made it into the news section but hey, I guess some people care, so I'll share it with you. The Whole Foods CEO, John Mackey, likes to keep his diet simple. He tells CNBC that he won't eat anything frozen or processed and sticks to the 3 basic vegan meals in a day, and that if he snacks, he gets a stomach ache. Now, hold on. Doesn't Whole Foods actually have a whole frozen department? I guess that's more for options, but let's continue. He also says that he rarely drinks water since he consumes 15 plus, that's 15 plus servings of fruits and vegetables a day to keep him hydrated plenty throughout. So, So if he doesn't eat anything frozen and everything's fresh, man, has to be interesting on a plane. Then that would make you question, does he have a private plane? I don't know. Does that matter? I'm trying to think here. Anyways, so he's a pretty hydrated man. I guess it depends on what he has going on if he's eating that healthy. So it looks like I have a Colorado theme going on today. The Aspen Institute reports that children in low-income families are much less likely to play sports than their wealthier counterparts. 70% of kids in families with household incomes exceeding $100,000 a year play sports. Meanwhile, 30% of those don't in households that earn less than $25,000 a year. The Institute says that schools and clubs are charging much higher fees in recent years, making team sports more inaccessible to poorer families. Now, if I'm making over $100,000 a year compared to $25,000 a year, yeah, I think I might have some more income left around in regards to being able to do childhood sports for my children. This is one of these other genius writings from someone that apparently was extremely bored and said, shit, let's make this a news story because I have nothing else to do. You know how sometimes when you're at work and you have to do stuff to make you look busy, I kind of feel that this news story fell under that same category. So let's continue down these doozies here. Experts expect late summer hurricanes this season. Yeah, that's me crying, not laughing. So far, only 2 have fully formed in the Atlantic thanks to dry storms from Africa depriving systems of its moisture. That's the fewest since 1999. Yes, that's 1999. Now the U.S. National Weather Service is forecasting between, this sucks, 10 and 17 storms over the next few weeks. That is not what I want to hear. I'm sure you don't want to hear that either unless you're somewhere in the middle of the country where you might not have anything to do with this and probably could give 2 shits on what's going on. So did you hear about this guy that actually inspired the movie that came out many years ago with Leo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks that was called Catch Me If You Can? Frank Abagnale. That cannot be right. Is that guy's last name? It is? Okay, we'll run with it. Tells Tech Republic that crime is 4,000 times easier today. During a recent panel discussion that the technology that only makes crime easier. He added that there will always be people who will use technology in a negative form, in a self-serving way. Well, I guess, when you take a look at those things that people sometimes still use that are called checks, checks, when you look at the watermarks, this guy played a key role into those things having there, or actually being there. So if you take a look at that, he might know what he's talking about. Did you hear about this guy out of Quebec who has survived falling 1,500 meters when his parachute failed to deploy? How much is 1,500 meters? Does anyone know? Hey, Siri, how much is 1,500 meters in feet?
4,921.26 feet.
Well, now that we know that, so he survived 4,921.26 feet from his actual parachute not deploying. Despite crashing into some trees, he suffered only fractures, none which are life-threatening, according to the police. And so let's continue with the news. And this one's not going to be that important, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So here's the thing. I'm sure you've heard of someone named Warren Buffett. His firm, Berkshire Hathaway, now owns, are you ready for this? 11% of Amazon. So that means that particular portion is worth over $1 billion. So that means that Warren Buffett is betting big on Amazon. So I'm not saying, hey, I'm a stock investor and you should go take these things into head and go ahead and go do these things. No, I think that you should give some consideration to follow what this dude's doing because he knows a little bit about money. And then let's just go through the standard weirdness that we've been doing this week. Oh, my Lord. Let's kind of go through some of these as they go forward. I don't know if the day of the week kind of plays a factor to some of these things that are celebrated, but let's go through it. Men's Grooming Day could be celebrated today. I guess that really kind of works out for some men because it's Friday. Roller Coaster Day. Tell a Joke Day. Airborne Day. And Rum Day, like drinking rum type of thing. So if we did a combination of this real quick, so if we celebrated Rum Day, Men's Grooming Day, Tell a Joke Day, Airborne Day, and Roller Coaster Day, you could have a pretty good day or a really messed up day, depending on what order you actually did it in. Anyways, just to follow up real quick, as just in case, because we discussed it yesterday, so we'll discuss it again today. We are on day 228th of the year, only leaving 137 left. Anyways, that might be important to you. Might not be important to you, but I wanted to share the information. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. You've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Love you, mean it. Bye.
Duh.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.